So I was watching the X Zone TV channel last night when I was abducted by aliens, and they kept repeating to me over and over again, simultv.com, simultv.com.
What's simultv.com?
That's what I asked them. They had it written on the side of their UFO.
How do you spell that?
UFO.
No, I mean simultv.com.
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 Right. simultv.com.
Interesting that you were abducted by aliens in a simultv.com UFO last night.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Now that you mention it, I remember now last night I was awakened from a deep sleep. My great-grandmother was standing there. She said she'd come from the hereafter to tell me about simultv.com. She even spelled it out for me. simultv.com, sonny boy.
simultv.com.
simultv.com, sonny boy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guys, you'll never guess what my psychic guru just told me.
simultv.com.
Exactly. Are you guys psychic too?
Of course.
We all know about simultv.com. simultv.com.
The X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, rel-mar McConnell Media Company, the X Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Welcome back to the X Zone, everyone. I am Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. If you'd like to check out the X Zone Broadcast Network schedule online, it's www.xzbn.net. And for the X Zone TV channel on Simul TV, channel 21, www.simultv.com. Now, before we get to my guest this hour, I would just like to send our thoughts and prayers to the people in Pittsburgh who were victimized by a senseless act of violence this past Saturday at the Tree of Life Synagogue. You know, we need to get together as a human race, and we need to snuff out violence. Violence is not the answer to anything. Love is the answer. So to all the people who've lost family, or who know someone who has been injured or taken away from us way too fast because of this act of violence, our thoughts and prayers are to each and every one of you. And as a former member of law enforcement, a first responder up here in Canada, to my brethren in blue in the United States, God bless you guys, and we hope that each and every one of you who were injured in this horrific act get back to the force as soon as you can. We need you guys, and to all the members of law enforcement first responders, we salute you. Exonation, my guest this hour is Linda Backman. She is a licensed psychologist and regression therapist, has been in private practice for more than 30 years. Now, since 1993, Dr. Backman has guided innumerable individuals in regression hypnotherapy to access their past lives between lives. In this way, she assists people to more fully recognize who they are as souls throughout our many lifetimes and during the times that we cannot incarnate. Regression hypnotherapy allows the client to understand their soul mission, soul progress, soul relationships, and much more. Dr. Backman's work includes guiding soul regressions, speaking and writing, as well as training others in soul regression hypnotherapy, both in the U.S. and abroad. Joining me now from Boulder, Colorado, is Dr. Backman. And Linda, welcome back to the X Zone.
Thank you so much, Rob. It's good to be with you.
Always good talking to you, Linda. Why is regression hypnotherapy so popular these days?
Well, I think that's a great statement, and I think it's growing in popularity. So I think that's a great question. I basically, it makes me go back to your opening, and I'm so glad that you acknowledged and supported these people that just went through such a horrific experience.
It's awful, Linda.
I mean, there you are. You have many of the problems in our culture that show up in those kinds of events. I think, basically, Rob, I believe that people are looking for deeper answers, deeper explanation to, why am I here? Who am I? What's the point? How can I assist humanity to move beyond these kind of crazy, fear-based, hate-based situation? So people are looking for, I think, deeper awareness of what's the point in their life and life overall.
Maybe for our listeners who haven't had the opportunity and pleasure of listening to you on the show before, Linda, maybe you can describe to our listening audience, what is soul regression?
Okay. Well, soul regression basically is a trained therapist, such as myself or many other trained therapists, in the U.S. and Canada and outside of both of those two countries where you and I live.
Yeah.
So a regression therapist guides the client. It's almost like the reverse of someone who's a capable channel or medium. The regression therapist guides the client to become their own, you might say, channel to access important past lives, to access understanding of who they are as a soul, why are they in body. The client is using their own intuitive capabilities. We can all access our own soul-level information as well as our own spiritual guides.
In your regression practice, how did you learn that we incarnate between both Earth and not on Earth or interplanetary?
Yeah, that's a great question. So back years ago when I was training in regression work, I had a mentor, and one of my mentors is a person that many people have read his books, Dr. Michael Newton. And in the work that Newton did, essentially Newton verified aspects of the afterlife and how we plan our lives. He basically did regression work and discovered that clients began to tell him similar sorts of things. Michael would say, in my years of training with him, that we have lives on Earth and we have lives not on Earth. I accepted that. I believed that. And maybe for the first, I've been guiding regression for about 25 years, and I've been a psychologist about 40 years. For the first maybe 10 years, Rob, of my regression practice, periodically I had a client access a past life not on Earth that seemed very believable. But then suddenly, in the range of 10 to 15 years ago, I started noticing in my regression practice that more than half of my clients, without me directing them to go to a life not on Earth, just directing them to allow a past life to come forward, that about half or more of my clients were accessing past lives not on Earth. And so I realized there was some reason, I believe, that my guides wanted me to work with individuals to understand more about why do we have past lives not on Earth.
Well, where do the souls originate from, I guess, is a starting point. If we can understand this, maybe we'll be able to understand what soul regression is about. Many people believe that when they're born, this is the first incarnation that they've had. So where does the soul actually originate from then, Linda?
As best I understand, that's a question I'm asked periodically. I think that's a very, you might say, esoteric question that I think the human brain that we have in many ways is only has a certain degree of capability. So my understanding of where do souls originate is that it has to do with higher frequency. It has to do with an energy source greater than we are. Some people are going to call that God. Some people will call that the source, Great Spirit, the Tao, the different terminologies. souls originate from, I would say, a high frequency that we might call a divine level.
How do we know this?
Good question. I always say when I'm answering questions that when I give answers, what I'm doing is, after 25 years of guiding regression clients, basically, for the most part, week in and week out, this is what I've heard from far more than one client, which causes me to think, since I'm not putting those ideas in the client's mind, they're telling me, I'm not telling them, that there must be validity if more than one client, more than two clients, usually far more than 5 clients, have said similar things. So that's where my answers basically come from.
But that's kind of vague. Because if we're making statements to the fact that, we are reincarnated and that we have past lives, how do we quantify its validity? I mean, besides based on what people who enter a post-hypnotic regression session or a hypnotic regression session are telling us. How do we know that this is not something that they have heard, either listening to a New Age show, watching a TV show, or reading a book? How do we know it's a legitimate claim?
Yeah, again, really common question. I say to people, if you could sit beside me each time I guide a regression or have your own regression, my answer would have even greater validity. But to give specifics about how do we validate the details of a past life, there are things like the specific details that the client explains, whether they're clothing details, the details of a scene, events that just happen out of the blue, spontaneous emotion comes up at times for clients. The past life relates to current life. It always it's therapeutic. The past life that comes forward, Rob, is not something I choose consciously for the client, and it's not really what the client chooses consciously. It's the spiritual guides of the client. I have no doubt we all have spiritual guides because they show up spontaneously, even for people that, prior to the regression didn't believe in.
All right, Linda, stand by. You and I have to take our first break. X Zone Nation, Linda Backman is our special guest. For more information on Linda, visit her website at www.ravenheartcenter.com, and center is spelled CENTER. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell. We'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away. Rob McConnell here, presenting an overview for Nicholas Paul Jennings, author of a fascinating book, Amen. It presents facts revealed by Egyptologists, facts that enable us to understand why Amen is the beginning of creation of God. It provides recommendations for religious leaders of the major religions to unify their beliefs and teach the Word of God. Love one another. Amen informs people how mankind conceived God. It was the Egyptians that developed the concepts of a soul, a hereafter, and Son of God. And finally, after the worship of many gods, they conceived the belief in one universal God, the maker of all there is. For more information, visit www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com. Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, join me, Rob McConnell, as together we'll investigate the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology here on the X Zone Radio TV show on XZBN and the X Zone TV channel on Simul TV. Since 1990, the X Zone Radio TV show has been the place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. Together, we'll investigate UFOs, aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, psychic phenomena, lake monsters, conspiracy theories, government cover-ups, the truth embargo, alien abductions, ESP, haunted locations from around the world, and so much more. With over 28 years of broadcasting and more than 4,500 individual guests, the X Zone is truly a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality, as evidenced by the credibility, integrity, and professionalism of the guests that we bring to our international audience. If you have seen a UFO, had a close encounter, seen a ghost, Bigfoot, lake monster, or a story that you would like to share or have investigated, contact me, Rob McConnell, by sending me your email to xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, or you can call toll-free 1-800-610-7035, extension 143, and on Skype, X Zone Radio TV. For more information on the X Zone Radio TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, visit www.xzoneradiotv.com or www.xzonetvchannel.com or simultv.com and xzbn.net. Until next we meet here in the X Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, always remember, X Zone Nation, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart in the light. Exonation, my guest this hour is Dr. Linda Backman. Her website is www.ravenheartcenter.com. I understand that there are two different types of souls, Linda, or at least two that are more noticeable or talked about than others. Number one is the earthbound soul, and number two is the interplanetary soul. What is the difference between these two souls?
Okay, so on Earth, what I actually call an Earth-based soul is a soul that has been incarnating on Earth, for somewhere between, scientists disagree, somewhere between 40 to 50,000 years, repetitively experiencing lives on Earth. And when we incarnate, we come into body to evolve. So gaining wisdom, growing, tripping and falling, picking themselves back up. So an Earth-based soul is a soul that basically has incarnated on Earth repetitively for thousands of years. An interplanetary soul is a soul that only comes to Earth periodically, may not have been on Earth before, or perhaps has been on Earth 5 times, 50 times, 100 times, but primarily incarnates not on Earth.
When we were talking about the Earth-based soul, you said scientists disagree on the definition.
Scientists disagree on how long Homo sapien life has existed on Earth, and it's in the range of 40 to 60,000 years. But so scientists give, that range of how long have we had Homo sapiens that were incarnating that were incarnated souls. And so essentially the way I explain it is that when Earth was new and souls began to incarnate here on Earth, souls came from somewhere else. They all had originally incarnated somewhere else. Some of us, I actually am an example of an Earth-based soul, some of us came to Earth long, long ago and almost exclusively have been incarnating only on Earth. Other souls that are currently in body, that are many of my clients that I've worked with over the last 10 to 15 years, are souls that don't primarily come here, but are highly evolved souls that come from other places in the celestial realm, other, you might say, locations, if you will, that are evolved cultures. And those souls, what I've learned from my clients, there are more souls in body right now on Earth who are what I call IP or interplanetary. There's a greater influx of those souls right now because Earth is struggling.
All right, something that has raised my interest that you stated. Once again, scientists disagree on the definition, and then you basically said that science, if I understand you, has confirmed the existence of the soul. And if this is the case, who is the scientist and how did they do it?
Well, that's not exactly what I'm saying, but there are scientists, yes, studying consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
There are many scientists studying what you might call non-materialistic consciousness,
Right.
and being able to verify through different research projects that
How?
there is a consciousness that doesn't necessarily reside within our body.
How has this been confirmed, and what research projects?
Well, some of the research projects are ones where there's been a number of what is called intercessory prayer research that's been replicated, 2 or 3 different times, where people that are healing from surgery or some kind of, serious medical trauma, some are being prayed for at a distance. And when I say prayed, I don't necessarily mean Christian prayer or Muslim prayer, prayer genetically. Some of these people are being prayed for at a distance, remotely. Others are not being prayed for. And the replicated research continues to show that the ones where there's this energy being sent to them for healing, they tend to heal faster. Their blood pressure, balances out more quickly. Bleeding lessens faster.
Right.
So that's not the only kind of research that's going on. There's a lot of other research basically looking at consciousness. There's mediumship research that's been done a lot at the University of Arizona, looking at, so how do we access information perhaps from a loved one on the other side? How does a medium or a channel give information to a client or speak phrases that the loved one would have used? How does that work? There's all types of different research.
But there's no proof.
Well, it depends on what you want to call proof.
I want quantified scientific proof. What other kind of proof is there?
I think that's part of the problem, honestly, Rob, in our culture.
Why?
Is that, so what do we mean by proof? So, for example, if I guide a client and they discover a very detailed past life that for them explains a fear or explains a prior relationship with someone or explains a physical issue they've been struggling with in life today, in my opinion, when information comes forward, sitting with the client, I believe I can sense and intuitively know that it's valid. But can I prove that in some black and white fashion? No.
But don't you think that the onus is on the so-called channels, mediums, psychics? Because for so long, society has been duped by these so-called people. And now, because of the New Age movement, they are seeking credibility. They are seeking to have them be taken seriously. And yet they're doing this without offering any evidence. It's based on belief, not on fact. So how do we change the way that society is supposed to look at these once called charlatans?
I would disagree that it's not based on fact. I don't do mediumship work, but there are very capable mediums that can describe what your loved one looked like. They can give you your loved one's name. They can use phrases that the loved one used. If that isn't some degree of what you might call case study research, and I'm not in the business of convincing anybody. That really and truly is not my job.
But don't you want people to believe you?
Well, of course.
So if you are making these claims and giving these people legitimacy, isn't it up to you, when stating these facts, to supply some evidence that would be looked at by the audience to give them the opportunity to say, well, that makes sense?
So if 50 of my clients or 100 of my clients, when they died in a past life and crossed over and accessed what occurs when we cross over, and if there are commonalities to how they describe what happens or how they describe what you might call locations or experiences in the spiritual realm, and these people didn't read the same books. I didn't give them that information, then where else would it be coming from?
I don't know, but how can we quantify it if there are so many questions? How can we say it's legitimate? Don't we owe it to those people who are receiving this information, and I don't mean the client, I mean the public, who obviously are the target of this quest of getting the information out there? Isn't it up to the person, or even up to the psychic, the channeler, or the regressionist, to supply the public with the facts, not the supposition, I mean the facts. And if they cannot be proven as facts, should that not be stated?
Well, I'm not totally sure, Rob, for what reason you're kind of pushing on this issue.
Well, no, the reason is very simple. The reason is very simple, and I will tell you. We need to be sure of what we say these days. And all I'm asking for is clarification, that's all.
Yeah, of course we do.
Yeah.
But case study research, if you study case study research, which I had to do, I have a PhD in psychology. If you study case study research, what you're looking at, comparability from case to case to case. And when you find repetitive information among a certain number of cases, then that is formal case study research.
Okay. But isn't research finding today that ESP, telecommunication, or not telecommunication, but telepathy is playing a major part in some of these claims?
I don't think it's telepathy that causes a client to describe the details of a past life that fit clearly with their own life, that explain things. And honestly, I say to clients, if this helps you,
right,
see it as a metaphor.
Right, exactly.
If this benefits you, fine. I don't have to convince them, it's not my job, that it's real. But honestly, if you sat alongside me week in and week out, or had your own regression,
right,
I think you would comprehend from not just a left brain perspective, but also a right brain perspective. I think both are essential.
All right, stand by. We've got to take our news break at the bottom of the hour. Exonation, Dr. Linda Backman is our special guest. www.ravenheartcenter.com, and we'll be back after the news. Don't go away.
Watching the X Zone TV channel last night when I was abducted by aliens, and they kept repeating to me over and over again, simultv.com, simultv.com.
What's simultv.com?
That's what I asked them. They had it written on the side of their UFO.
How do you spell that?
UFO.
No, I mean simultv.com.
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 Right. simultv.com.
Interesting that you were abducted by aliens in a simultv.com UFO last night.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Now that you mention it, I remember now last night I was awakened from a deep sleep. My great-grandmother was standing there. She said she'd come from the hereafter to tell me about simultv.com. She even spelled it out for me.
simultv.com, sonny boy.
simultv.com.
simultv.com, sonny boy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guys, you'll never guess what my psychic guru just told me.
simultv.com.
Exactly. Are you guys psychic too?
Of course.
We all know about simultv.com. simultv.com.
Rob McConnell here, presenting an overview for Nicholas Paul Jennings, author of a fascinating book, Amen. It presents facts revealed by Egyptologists, facts that enable us to understand why Amen is the beginning of creation of God. It provides recommendations for religious leaders of the major religions to unify their beliefs and teach the Word of God. Love one another. Amen informs people how mankind conceived God. It was the Egyptians that developed the concepts of a soul,
a hereafter, and Son of God. And finally, after the worship of many gods, they conceived the belief in one universal God, the maker of all there is. For more information, visit www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com.
Linda Backman is our special guest this hour, Exonation. Her website is ravenheartcenter.com. And Linda, where do the interplanetary souls come from?
So interplanetary souls are souls that come from or incarnate in places other than on Earth. They can come from planets, star systems, interdimensional space that does not have density. They come from, you might say, locations and cultures that are healthy. Healthy meaning healthy relationships, healthy nutrition, lack of violence, lack of denigration of one culture against another. And honestly, if you'd asked me, Rob, 20 to 25 years ago, did I even believe there were souls that came from somewhere else? Back then, as a conventional psychologist, which is what I once was, I would have thought that was just literally crazy until I began to regress clients. And I didn't tell them where they were going when they accessed past lives. They went there spontaneously.
Why did you start regressing?
I fell into, so I'll give you the story in a shortened version.
Sure.
About 25 and a half years ago, my original psychologist colleague with whom we built a group practice of psychologists and psychiatrists, neither one of us were spiritually oriented. He died in his early 30s from a type of lung cancer. I didn't believe in any of this. It was not on my radar screen at all. I began to sense his energy around me after he passed. I began to sense him communicating with me. At first, I thought that was really bizarre. And I'd read one book about reincarnation. I didn't know if I believed in it or I didn't. I began to sense that I was intuiting information about lives I'd shared with him. I turned to my husband, who I didn't think believed in any of this. My husband was a university professor for almost 30 years. I explained this to my husband, and he looked at me and he said, I guess I'd repressed what happened to me as a boy when I was growing up. And I said to my husband, what are you talking about? And he said, only now do I remember that as a boy, I spontaneously remembered my past lives. I knew details of those lives. I tucked it away and never told anyone because I figured they'd think I was crazy. That's how I fell into this work.
So how does understanding our past lives help us in our current lives?
Because our past lives explain things in our current life that aren't explained any other way. Relationship issues or struggles or relationship connections, sometimes physical issues that no doctor can explain, can be lessened or released by understanding their remnants of a past life. We have fears and phobias that go back to past life events that we don't understand, therefore, they affect us. Once we comprehend where they're coming from, we can often lessen them. So essentially, we come into body to evolve as a soul. That's why we incarnate lifetime to lifetime. It's how we grow. It's like going to school. And so past lives help us understand karma. Where did we take actions in past lives that weren't the most useful, that we need to balance in life today? Or dharma, what accomplishments, what soul intentions did we accomplish in a past life that in life today we don't believe we've ever accomplished? Like being a capable parent, having a comfortable romantic relationship, earning a comfortable living. So we have karma, we have dharma. That's how we evolve as a soul.
But what happens if a person's got a good life and everything is good? Like, I've got 6 great kids. They're all doing fantastic. I've had a wonderful career. I've got a loving wife, 12 grandchildren. What more could I ask for?
Well, those are not necessarily the kind of people that come for regression. Now, they might want to understand more deeply, what is their purpose? Well, for what reason did they choose to embody this time? And so even someone like you just described, Rob, may come for the type of regression that is the longer kind of regression. I guide past life and I guide soul-level regression. They might want to understand, why am I here?
Yeah.
Am I doing all I came to do?
But why do we need to go back? What I've seen over the years is that it seems the people who are weak in life seek out these answers because they do not have the ability to make things right in their life, and they're looking for excuses on why they're such a failure.
I completely, with all due respect, I completely disagree.
Well, of course you would.
I don't call that weakness.
What is it then?
It's they're seeking to understand themselves at a deeper level in order to move more forward in their lives. They're looking for deeper answers about who are they at the core level, why are they here. I don't think it has anything to do with weakness. In fact, I often think it's completely related to strength, and it's related to the depth of understanding of who am I and what more can I do, both for my own soul evolution, but the evolution of this human culture, which in my humble opinion is kind of, if you will, a mess at the moment.
Right. I can agree with that to a certain extent, but it looks to me that people who seek New Age reality are looking for New Age excuses.
So for you, what does New Age reality or New Age excuses mean?
Well, I mean these people who go to New Age practitioners for advice, who go to these people seeking answers, who go to these people, they go to psychics, they go to channels, they go to mediums. In my opinion, it's because they can't face life. They cannot see their own fallacies. They cannot see what is, stopping them from being successful, stopping themselves from being lovable. First of all, if you can't love yourself, you can't love anyone else, number one. People look at challenges in their lives as failures. Well, challenges in your lives are, in my opinion, strategies to success. They're lessons.
Of course.
And it seems that the people who seek, I don't know why I'm this way now. There must be something in my past. Yeah, it's in your past. Take a look at your current past. Why? Is there something that you've done wrong in life? Is there something that you've missed? I really don't believe in past life regression. I don't believe in the hereafter. Well, I believe that a person has the ability to do anything they want, but they need to take the initiative themselves. They need to look at the man in the mirror and investigate their lives. I believe that's where the answers lie.
So I'll be honest, I don't understand for what reason you're interviewing me, given I believe we've lived before and we will live again. And this is a continuum, not a single shot deal this lifetime.
I'm looking for answers. I'm looking for proof of what people are saying.
And what would constitute proof?
Evidence. Scientifically quantified evidence. Something that can be proven beyond the shadow of a doubt. Religion has been trying to do it for years. The New Age movement has been trying to do it for years. And when it comes to the proof, it sounds great. But, to quote a Wendy's commercial, where's the beef?
So what I hear you saying is life is we are purely left-brained individuals, that our right hemisphere of our brain serves no purpose.
What I'm saying is that we are the creation of ourselves, that we come to this existence as a blank hard drive that you buy at a computer store. And through our lives and through our actions, we program the hard drive.
Rob, honestly, I'm not totally sure why then I'm a guest, because I have no doubt we are a soul living one life to the next, growing and evolving. We bring our history with us. We bring our pitfalls as well as our accomplishments.
Right.
We are continuing to grow and evolve as a soul. It isn't a one-shot deal, or I wouldn't have done this work for 25 years.
But I guess what I'm trying to get to, Linda, is why you and others out there are so sure.
Because of the content that comes forward for people that comes from their left brain and their right brain. Where else would they get that?
The internet?
And can we prove that there is a higher power or a higher force? I'm not a religious person, but I also don't see myself as a New Age love and light person.
All right, we've got to take our final break for this hour, and I just want to thank Dr. Backman for joining us. I think that she needs a reality check. I don't believe anything that she has said to us tonight, X-Zone Nation. So I think I'm going to play a bit of a spoof that works wonderfully with this. I'll be back on the other side as we kind of look at life in a different light. It's called reality. I'm Rob McConnell. Don't go away. Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, join me, Rob McConnell, as together we'll investigate the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology here on the X-Zone Radio TV show on XZBN and the X-Zone TV channel on Simul TV. Since 1990, the X-Zone Radio TV show has been the place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. Together, we'll investigate UFOs, aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, psychic phenomenon, lake monsters, conspiracy theories, government cover-ups, the truth embargo, alien abductions, ESP, haunted locations from around the world, and so much more. With over 28 years of broadcasting and more than 4,500 individual guests, the X-Zone is truly a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality, as evidenced by the credibility, integrity, and professionalism of the guests that we bring to our international audience. If you have seen a UFO, had a close encounter, seen a ghost, Bigfoot, lake monster, or a story that you would like to share or have investigated, contact me, Rob McConnell, by sending me your email to xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, or you can call toll-free 1-800-610-7035, extension 143, and on Skype, X-Zone Radio TV. For more information on the X-Zone Radio TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, visit www.xzoneradiotv.com or www.xzonetvchannel.com or simultv.com and xzbn.net. Until next we meet here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, always remember, X-Zone Nation, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart in the light.
You have heard of the X-Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV.
SimulTV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X-Zone, Sci-Fi, and Horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. SimulTV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have SimulTV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
Welcome back, X-Zone Nation. I decided at the end of the last segment that I was not going to bring our guest back on, Linda Backman. Her shtick is past lives and between live soul regression sessions and training, which means she makes money out of this. Now, let's take a look at what we were talking about. At one point, she said scientists disagree on a definition of souls. No scientist has ever confirmed the fact that there is a soul. Not one. Number one. Then the shtick of Earth-based souls and interplanetary souls. So there are souls out there on other planets. And once again, science has not confirmed the fact of life on other planets, but this is a great New Age shtick. I've been doing this show for 29 years. And I love how guests fluctuate from belief to belief to belief to belief. Where's the proof? Where's the evidence, X-Zone Nation? Come on, we're all sensible people here. Well, most of us are anyway, on this side of the microphone and that side of the listening audience where you are. It scares the hell out of me that licensed psychologists are turning into these regression gurus and are spreading the manure that we have lived many lives, that people come to them and they want to go back in time in past lives to understand why their life now is so screwed up. Well, that's a big hint right there, because you can't take responsibility for yourself. Because if you could, as I tried to point out to the doctor, they wouldn't go to them in the first place. Whatever happened to going to your minister? Whatever happened to talking to your family? Whatever happened to talking to your best friend about these problems? You know, my best friend when I was growing up, Don Murdoch, a super guy, we talked about everything. Then I was fortunate enough to meet my wife, who was my very best friend. And we talk about everything. No secrets. None whatsoever. Our children talk to us openly, honestly, because there's no judgment. We don't say, well, you know what? The problem is not with our parenting. The problem is not with your job. The problem is not with your lack of attention in school. The problem is who you were in a past life. So what you need to do is go down to see a past life regressionist and get yourself hypnotized and go back in previous lives. And then, before you go to the past life regressionist, I hate to tell you this, but, you know, your soul may not be from Earth. It may be from another planet, another dimension, another reality. You may have been a donkey in another life on another planet. Who knows? But you're here to learn, and you know what? Because you can't face reality, go see a hypnotherapist. What a bunch of bunk. What a bunch of bunk. If anything, the New Age community has spawned a group of people who have the ability to find excuses for why people fail and then charge them for these sessions. I don't care if you're a doctor. I don't care if you're a PhD. In fact, PhD means piled higher and deeper. 99% of all these so-called PhDs have actually gotten their degrees off of the internet. I'm not saying that this is the case with our guest tonight. I am not saying that at all. I am saying that I've had other guests on that we've done background investigations on that have proven to be anything but credible. They get them from these internet schools, the Universal Church of Bullcrap, and they spew this crap. They spew this disinformation. There's more of a conspiracy, cover-up, and crap being perpetrated within the New Age community than there is by the government. Like, come on. Do we really believe this stuff? Now, you know, I've had scientists on who have gone through universities, who have done their tenure, who have the degrees, the diplomas, and the credentials to quantify their statements. I give them the benefit of the doubt. But not one of them has come on this show and said, you know what, Rob? Souls are real. Do you know what, Rob? We've lived lives before. Do you know what, Rob? Aliens are real and they're out there. You know what, Rob? Bigfoot is real. Do you know what, Rob? Ghosts. Ooh, they are real. Haunted houses are real, Rob. Not one. And yet you get all these New Age people who decided that they're experts because either they write a book, usually, self-published. Number two, they actually have the gift of the gab, and they convince other people that they know what the hell they're talking about. Or they spend $12 on GoDaddy.com and they pay a server to put up a website, and all of a sudden they're an expert. No. Why do I ask these questions? Because you make the statements. And if you make a statement on this show, you're not going to get the Snorri Nori routine. You're not going to get the other podcast routines. You're going to get the X Zone. We want answers. We want the truth because you, the listener, the viewer, the reader, deserve it. I'm not here to hold the guest hand and to pat them on the back and say how great you are, how wonderful you are. You are such a service to society, unless they deserve it. At the beginning of this hour, I thanked the police officers in Pittsburgh, the first responders, for what they did. I gave my heartfelt sorrow to the people who lost relatives and friends in that useless, violent attack in the synagogue in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That comes from the heart. What else comes from the heart is my questions to a guest who cannot successfully answer my questions. That's what upsets me. That raises more flags than enough. Quote and unquote, scientists disagree on the definition. You said it. I didn't. And then confirmed by science, who, what, when, where, why, could not be answered. How do we know there's an earthbound soul? How do we know there's an earth-based soul? How do we know there's an interplanetary-based soul? Where is the evidence? Or like I love asking people, where's the beef? Remember that Wendy's commercial? Little old lady would come up and say, where's the beef? We need to ask that question more in today's society because there are charlatans out there. There are charlatan psychics. There are charlatan channels. There are charlatan mediums. And you notice how everything within the New Age works into everything. Like 25 years ago, she didn't believe. But, and my heart goes out to the family of the coworker that she lost. All of a sudden, she felt the presence. She had read a book on reincarnation. It makes me wonder if certain people are able to differentiate between fact and fiction. And where does the mind's power play in all of this? Where does the mind's belief or the person's belief translate into thought transmission? How do we know that these aren't waking dreams? I'm not talking about the example that I give, that the only difference between a dream and reality is doing something. But the nightmares that you have, or the dreams that you're greater than you really are, or the other weird dreams that we all have, based on our, I don't know. We deserve the truth. We deserve the facts. We deserve honesty. And if you don't know the answer to something, say, I don't know. But if you're going to tell me scientists disagree on a definition, tell me who the scientist is, how they came to that conclusion, or don't say it at all. Because what it does is you just put your foot in your mouth. When you can't answer these questions, you, the audience, I know this for a fact because I got the emails, say, wow, Rob, that guest didn't know what the hell they were talking about. Thank you for weeding them out. You know what? That's my pleasure. And I do that Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until 2 a.m. Eastern, right here from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, here in the X Zone. Now, I'll be back on the other side of this news break as we continue from our broadcast center in Hamilton, because this is a place where fact is fiction. And fiction, well, sometimes is reality, and other times it's nothing else but a bunch of bullcrap. I'm Rob McConnell. Don't go away.
If you are looking for a safe, zero-calorie natural option to the harmful artificial sweeteners on the market today, Just Like Sugar is what you're looking for. Just Like Sugar is a wonderful natural alternative for those health-conscious people who choose a calorie-restricted diet with a great, pure, sweet flavor that tastes just like sugar. Just Like Sugar is a great natural option for people suffering from diabetes and may be useful in restricted diet programs where standard sugars are not allowed and does not cause a laxative effect of some other sweeteners. Just Like Sugar comprises a perfect blend of chicory root fiber, natural calcium, natural vitamin C, and Just Like Sugar's sweetness comes from the natural flavors from the peel of the orange. Just Like Sugar is a natural alternative to harmful artificial sweeteners and will change the way that you believe all natural sweetener products taste. Just Like Sugar is available at your local Whole Foods markets, Wild Oats markets, Henry's, Sun Harvest, and many other fine natural food stores in the U.S., Canada, and worldwide.
You have heard of the X Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X Zone, sci-fi, and horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.